Hey guys, and welcome back to more Amnesia Illuminated. Last time we went through the archives and discovered several things about everyone, essentially. Several things about Alexander, about Daniel. This time, we'll be going into the lovely Cella Vineria, or wine cellar, as you might want to call it. The place definitely has a bit of a red tint to it, doesn't it? I'm pretty sure it didn't have the red tint before. I'm actually not 100% certain about that. I'm fairly sure it didn't. There are laboratories here. We need to go here once we've been through the wine cellar. The wine cellar is probably one of the more... well, not exactly story critical, but... oh, yeah, sorry. Use the key on the door to unlock it. Yes, because you're supposed to... do it like this. Look, I solved the puzzle. It's easy. I quite like that the game forces you to do that rather than just automatically using the key out of your inventory. It forces you to do it. It means that, you know, it's like you have to think about it, and I wasn't thinking about it. Ah, the good old wine cellar. I always find it weird how the wine cellar itself, let's just get out some light in here, it feels quite different to many other areas of the castle. I mean, it's certainly unique. It is indeed unique. Also, I also love how it sounds like there is someone continuously walking around you. The first minor scare of the level. There's even...
where did the Baron go?
Who cares? He left us enough wine to last us a lifetime. Or at least until tomorrow.
And here we hear the sounds of Wilhelm and his compatriots trapped in the wine cellar. Next minor scare of the level, I believe, is right here. If we try and do I don't think there is actually anything to be seen through there. I don't think there's actually anything to be seen through there. So it's meant to sound like you're definitely not alone down here, of course, which you sort of aren't. There is actually, weirdly enough, a map here indicating where things are. So you can see, it's weird because this one here, this one looks like it could be a wine bottle, but then we've got barrels here, tools here, and a beer mug there. Can we go in here? Oh yeah, we can go in here. I can't remember if there's any purpose to coming in here. Well, we hear lots of horrible whispering. Let's get this lit just because we can. There's many tinder boxes in here. There's like 6 tinder boxes down here in the wine cellar. We can spare a few. There's another one right here. This room actually doesn't serve a purpose, as I recall. It doesn't have a chemical, does it? Oh no, it does. A chemical here. Oh yeah, because when you pick this up... Shadow makes a move on Daniel. But Daniel is stronger. Even put out that damn light that I lit. Okay, let's just light this one so we're not in the dark anymore. So, the Shadow makes a move. Not sure if the Shadow literally intended this barrel to fall upon Daniel's head, but maybe it could be so. I mean... who knows what the Shadow is capable of at this point? Maybe it can do that. There is also an oil barrel here. I will actually use that at the end because I did fill up my lamp already. So at this point, I think you can just move this stuff. Yeah, this is how it works at this point. You just move the stuff out the way. Daniel is pretty strong. You can just move all this stuff. You know, not too much problem. Too many problems moving all this stuff. I mean, it's a little bit awkward. But just let it kind of fall down, and then Daniel's like, yeah, I got this. I'm bossing this. Where do we have to go after this? Oh, I know where we're going next. Right, I know exactly where we're going just to see what's up. We'll probably do the lab in this session as well, because the lab isn't that long. The wine cellar is quite short as well. There's not too much to see. Oh, come on. I love the physics engine in this. Working the physics of the game. Okay, the door should be up. No. Okay, the door should be quite openable now at this point. Back out into the main hall. And Daniel feels calmed by the by escaping from that. And now another chemical presents itself in here. There are hidden things in here, though, as I recall. Behind these barrels. I forget which barrels it is exactly. Stop that, barrels. Stop that. Which barrels is it? These barrels? I'm sure there are hidden things behind these barrels. Are there not? Oh, come on. And all the while, just listen to those lovely sounds. We've got a groaning similar to that of the archives, and continuous creaking and or potential footsteps. Let's just take this lovely chemical here. Am I alone? Am I not alone? Hello, am I alone? Yeah, I'm alone. This is how the game works. The game is very good at setting up the atmosphere, and I'm very good at ruining it, to be honest. Wait, I think I've missed the lamp oil. I'm sure there's lamp oil. Oh wait, no, it's that one there, isn't it?
Everything is gone.
We can hear there Daniel's moans. Oh, look, we have... Is that the sound of Wilhelm? Is he still alive? Is there something hidden behind the barrels? We have lovely... Why... Look, that pygmy is hung very high up, so the pygmy is just bleeding onto the floor here. But is it pig meat? I have to ask. Hey look, Wilhelm's gone, but the remains somewhat humanish, maybe? I mean, you have to wonder, are these remains human or not? Oh my, there's a lot of the remains as well.
What's happening? Oh, it feels like my chest is going to burst. Oh.
My God! Wilhelm, do something!
Except we're not getting out of here.
How can you say that? Alexander, you piece of shit! Let us out of here!
So as you may recall, we did indeed pick up a note. Those rattling chains, perhaps we are not alone. We did indeed pick up a note in the the archive, sorry, indicating that Alexander did indeed wish to get rid of Wilhelm and his men, promising to to at least lock them in the wine cellar. That much is definitely true, but he actually took it a step further, didn't he? He poisoned them. And not only did he poison them, he poisoned them with something that made them explode. Indeed, this is why the wine cellar is covered in horrible gore. Ceiling, walls, floor, and all. The only thing that remains clean is the window. Mostly. Somehow, in all of that, Daniel has recollection of this. It's not clear if Daniel actually remembers hearing this, or if you just imagined what their cries would be like. Wilhelm, surprisingly quiet and calm in this. No tinderbox this time, however, a note and a conveniently placed cupboard, which maybe we have to hide in? Probably not. We'll find out. Wilhelm's last words. My name is Wilhelm, House of Gerich. These are my final words, my confession and testament. 2 years ago, I was summoned to the Castle Brandenburg. As most of the aristocracy, I was curious about what this supposed Knight of the Order could want from me and accepted the invitation. The Baron was friendly and offered me a proposition. It dawned on me that the nature of the contract was sordid, and that the reason I was chosen was because of the follies of my past and not the honors I've been rewarded with during my time as a soldier. I was to kidnap healthy humans upon his slightest whim and do so without asking questions. In return, He would attest to my character at the royal court, advancing my position within noble society. I would like to claim that I struggled with my decision, but it came swiftly and I accepted wholeheartedly. Ever since that day, I've brought men, women, and children to Brennenburg. I can't remember the numbers, but there were many, perhaps even 100, none of whom were ever seen or heard from again. Tonight, the Baron invited me and my men down to the wine cellar to celebrate our work. I had my suspicions as we descended the stairs, but he insisted and joined us in a toast. The wine tasted fine and my men drank without restraint. So begins the punishment for our sins. The Baron has locked us up and returned upstairs. Forgive me for what I have done. I was weak and fell into his diabolical ways. My men are screaming. Their skins are being pierced by their own tangled bones. I feel my insides revolt against their God-given nature. Blood has begun to pour from my eyes, and I can no longer... That is some strength, Wilhelm, managing to write so coherently to the last. Indeed, there's a quill, big bloodstain, and yet more of this purple stuff. More of the purple stuff. In fact, actually, I didn't realize that there is actually more purple stuff right here leading straight up to the desk. What is the purple stuff? What is the purpose of it? And it sounds like there's something above us. Let's take the chemical. We've got the Acroriga. Oh, something I forgot to point out. The reason you have to come to the wine cellar is because you need these chemicals to remember. We're trying to get through the that thick, fleshy. Are we alone? Thick, fleshy material leading. There we go. A little oil. A little oil is actually quite a lot. It's more than one of these oil containers. We're trying to get through to the refinery. There is yet one door we have yet to take in this room. Although there are boxes over here that we need to look behind because there's probably something good behind them. I'm not sure why there is so much stuff hidden behind these boxes. But it's always worth having a bit of a look. And now... perhaps the most intense part of the... I'm just going to light this for fun. Perhaps the most intense part of this area. If we go over here... I'm going to light this for fun as well on this occasion. If we come over here... and... oh, look, we find a bottle of something. Hey, look, what did we find? Stood right there. Now... this one, despite hanging around for a little while, it actually cannot do anything to you. It actually spawns its back to you and then immediately vanishes. This is why I said this is the most intense part of this area. I mean, aside from, you know, all the other gory stuff that occurred. That's why I wanted to light up all those lights so we could get a good look at the beast. Indeed, we know something about the Gatherers now. We know that Wilhelm... now we find this door open. This door which previously was locked, and if you try to open it, like as I did, it made a horrible noise. There's at least a couple of tinder boxes in here, which we need to locate. There's one here. This oil burns through fast. You're really discouraged from using the oil. Fortunately, we have plenty of tinder boxes for the moment. There's another one around here, as I recall. Wait, where is it? There it is. There we go, there it is. And then we shall find over here in the corner, conveniently quite well lit up in fact, Orpiment. And Daniel feels better. In fact, what is our sanity like? Crystal clear. Well, that's not good. I can't remember. There's a point where I actually need to lose my sanity. I forget exactly where it is. But this is all the wine cellar has to offer. The wine cellar is not very long, but I must admit, if you're unsure about the area, it is quite intense. There's not nearly as much to look at as the archives offered. The archives had a lot to offer. Many dialogues. It only has one note. But let us now make way to the laboratory. It's a wine cellar. There isn't much in here apart from this is where Alexander condemned and committed to the ages his employee Wilhelm and his men. Though I wonder what Wilhelm's men's contracts were. Yes, and again, as did happen once we exited the archives, the shadow reveals itself once more. Getting too close to the fleshy material causes great pain for poor Daniel. And now we enter the laboratory. One thing actually I liked about the wine cellar is it has no arbitrary dead ends. Whereas if we enter the lab, we see a, well, what I would describe as an arbitrary dead end. That noise is so well done. I love it. I have to wonder how the sound engineer designer person came up with a sound like that. I have to admit, I always found this blocked off tunnel quite entrancing. One of the things I always did, as both a child and still now, was, this door or this blocked off passage, what could be beyond it? And in this case, I was most entranced by this because it is so different from everything else here. It is covered in spider webs. This could mean a few things. This could mean that, look, some lamp oil. This could mean that perhaps it has been like this for a while, or perhaps something, or when this happened, something quickly took over, or perhaps the sealing off is intentional to prevent something from getting in. Indeed, the air and dust moving through the rocks suggests that of something breathing. Who knows? There are many hidden things in here, actually. Let's see if we can find more hidden things. Anything hidden here? Some more of the castle is collapsing here. Let's get a bit of light going on, shall we? Why not? I'm sure we'll find a few more tinder boxes around here. In fact, I'm pretty certain there's one sort of in this direction somewhere. Is there really not one over here? I'm pretty certain. Look, these barrels are not doing as they're supposed to. There really is supposed to be stuff behind them. Honestly, guys, there's supposed to be stuff behind them. And now we enter the laboratory itself. I'm gonna like this because it's important, right? I think definitely behind here. Yeah, look, behind here we've got a thingy otherwise known as a chest and a tinderbox, and then I'm pretty certain there is something further behind here as well, right? Again, we've got the sound of someone potentially walking up above, and yes, look here, we have another tinderbox hidden behind unopenable boxes. And now as we look down here through this grating, something has Daniel terrified. And yet there is nothing to behold apart from splashing water. What could the purpose of this be? That's some loud water. The ground rumbles frequently here as well.
There should be more coop rats. Let me see. And one part aquaforce.
We see a similar configuration here as to similar to Daniel's original laboratory. I say Daniel's original laboratory. The first laboratory we encountered in the game. Walls filled with bottles or shelves of bottles of things. More oil. I'm just gonna pick up all the stuff before continuing the story. Just listen to the sound in this area as well. This is something I need to point out more frequently. The sound in the area. Each area often is quite unique. Curiously, this one's gone back to more of a empty castle sound as opposed to what we had prior in the archives and the wine cellar, where there was like a constant moaning. In this case, it sounds like almost continuous screaming or occasional screaming. Is there more hidden things behind here? Look, these boxes cannot be trusted. There's always something behind them. Well, Alexander's left us another note, it seems. This is my third attempt to produce artificial vitae. The former compounds lacked the potency I need, but I sense I'm close. Calamine and orpiment are a given, and the cuprite binds them well. This time I will attempt Aqua Riga instead of Aqua Fortis in hope it will produce a more even solution. The experiment was unsuccessful. The solution is highly acid, and proves impractical to put to any use except as a detergent. Organic tissue reacts especially violently to the solution and should be handled with the greatest care. I might be able to use the recipe, but I'm losing hope that I will find an alchemic solution to my predicament. So, whatever Alexander was hoping to create, he failed indeed. And, well, wherever his original source was, he must revert back to this. Let us have a look at the, let's have a look in these drawers. Let's look around here. We have a quest objective here. Got the chemistry pot. We need that to make up our own acid, because of course we've learned now how to use the deal with the organic fleshy material in oh, my oil ran out. Good. In the cellar, not the cellar, in the tunnel to the refinery. We have another note here, however, conveniently also potentially left by Alexander. The lack of a chimney to properly vent the fumes from my most recent experiments has taken its toll on many of my less stable ingredients in storage. Some seem unaffected, but many are stained by the fumes and will be difficult to salvage. I shall do what I can and move them to the wine cellar. Given their distribution in the wine cellar, this would suggest that this was done before Wilhelm was locked up and discarded. I keep looking out of here as if something's gonna come down, but nothing will. Nothing will. Let us craft what is needed then. So, we must in fact combine all the items we have acquired. We place this here. I must admit, it's not very obvious that something is required here until you start turning the handles, and then you realize, we need to get the chemicals in. Add the chemicals one by one. Doesn't actually matter which order you add them in. The game takes care of that. Now, what I always found interesting here, and this is something I perhaps should have tried, that happens upon putting the third one in. I wonder what happens if you don't have the fourth one in your inventory. I guess I really should have tried that. Oh well. So now we add all these. We turn on the fire, the burners, give these a good old swirl. I must admit, sometimes turning handles can be a bit unusual with a mouse. Here we go. And as we do this, the game indeed lets us know that we've been successful and acquired the pot of acid. Lightning striking above. Is that perhaps directly related to Daniel's mental condition? Daniel realizes he's making progress, and the shadow attempts to materialize or otherwise bend the world, and yet all this can do is bring lightning down upon us. We need to add some more oil, because there's one last thing that you need to see in here that I've intentionally left till last. Now here, I just realized that these are badly stained walls, because of course this is where he does experiments. In here we have a most curious object, an object with markings not similar to anything we've yet seen, and also an object not similar to anything we've seen yet. And yet these are, well, let's see what happens. One day I will return. If it isn't for the thought of you, my love, wouldn't be able to go on. When I find myself doing terrible things, I take comfort in you. As long as I am able to think of you and long for a life together, I know I am better than the others. I weep for them. They lust for power without restraint, where I only crave fair judgment and a safe return. And what is this? What is this? Is this an artifact? I mean, does this belong to Alexander? Did he find it? What is that we discovered in there? Are we really reading something? Or are we just gleaming something from it? Oh, and the shadow. The shadow attempts to invade. And, well, certainly has created a problem. The stairway's broke. And this somehow seems broken. As if something has escaped. There is a broken beam. The rocks are spread. The light has been removed. Now what I like here is because this game has physics, there are many solutions to this. I've known people to stick boxes and barrels here. That works. It does actually work. You can do that and the game doesn't stop you. However, the game also has a correct, shall we say, solution for this. There's this distinctly planky plank over here, which Daniel seems to have no problem carrying with one hand. And in fact, if you bring it close enough, the game just very kindly aligns it for you, at which point you actually can't move it again. So, you know, we'll just take the easy solution rather than messing about with piling up boxes and stuff and make our way out of here. There is sadly nothing more to the lab. It is a very simple room, really well put together. Well, there's a couple of rooms, I suppose, but it's really well put together, as have all the others. The archives thus far have had the most to show us, in story terms and and in terms of jump scares as well. The presence of the monster in the wine cell was not exactly a jump scare as such. Just there to let you know that you're probably not alone. Shadow is even more determined, even more rampant to stop your progress. Look at this. This entire corridor is now covered in horrible red organic material. And weirdly enough, the rest of the room, apart from being even more red than before, is intact. And so guys, we can now open up the tunnel to the refinery. Let us do this with haste. The acid melts away the fleshy material and we can enter the refinery. But anyway guys, enough of that. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've perhaps learned something about the game that you didn't know before. That's kind of the main purpose of this. Thinking about the story, what's happening, the characters, Alexander, Daniel, other characters, Wilhelm and his men, no doubt there will be more to come. How Alexander is trying to create a replacement for the Vitae, whatever that is. Anyway guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!